Hello, that was a very strong intro. I feel like I owe him some money. So I'm going to start this off by telling a story from my past. When I was 6 years old, my father, who recently passed away, he bought me a G.I. Joe. For anybody old enough to know what G.I. Joe is, one of the military soldiers. You know, I loved it. You know, I loved the combat. I loved the action figure. And I brought it to the corner to play with it one day. And at the corner, the neighborhood bully came by. His name was Eric Whitehouse. He was the little brother of a very popular hip-hop star, Chuck D from Public Enemy. If anybody follows old school hip-hop. And this guy had me terrified. I was 6 years old, about yay big. Eric was 9 and 10 years old, about yay big. And he was a real bully. He used to throw hammers at my head. One day he threw a hammer. I actually heard it whiz by my ear. I mean, this guy had me terrified. You know, and I wasn't like a punk 6-year-old. I was just a regular 6-year-old. So I'm at the corner playing with G.I. Joe. Here comes Eric. Eric says, "Let me see your G.I. Joe." My first instinct is, of course not. But since I'm afraid of him, I don't want to deny him, defy him. So I give him the G.I. Joe. He says, "Now get out of here and go home." I said, "No, I just got that." He says, "Go home." So I considered what I was going to do. I wanted to. I looked at him. He's bigger than me. He was stronger than me. I was afraid of him. He threw hammers at me. So I went home, tears in my eyes, dejected. And as I got to the house, my father just happened to be in the doorway. So he said, "What's wrong?" I was crying. He said, he asked me what was wrong. I said, "You know, Eric Whitehouse took my G.I. Joe." And I went to go in the house, and he wouldn't go out the way. I said, "Dad, can I get in?" He says, "No, go get your G.I. Joe." I said, "But Daddy, I'm afraid of him." He said, "Go get the G.I. Joe. I'm not going to let you in the house." So now I'm walking back to the corner. Now I'm scared, I'm upset, I'm without my G.I. Joe, and I'm pissed off because my father wouldn't let me in the house. I go to the corner, he's sitting there playing with my G.I. Joe. I said, "I want my G.I. Joe back." He says, "Get out of here." I went to get the G.I. Joe, and he pushed me. Guess what I did? I leaped at him, hit him, pounded him with all the fury that I could muster. I'm so mad at you. The 6-year-old hitting a 9 and 10-year-old meant nothing. Did no physical damage, you know. I don't even think I even scratched him. But he collapsed, he hit the ground, and just put his hands up. And I just went after him with all my fury. Got my G.I. Joe, came home, my father was at the door. He said, "Do you have the G.I. Joe?" I said, "Yes." He let me in, I was going to my room. He said, "Before you go in the room, sit down at the table and talk to you." I said, "Yes, Dad." He says, "Did you learn a lesson?" Maybe. He said, "Eric is a bully, okay? And the only way that bullies have power over you is because you let them." He says, "Bullies only pick on people who won't fight back." The minute before Eric back, he gave up immediately. So, now that quick story from my childhood, I bring up to UltraCoin. UltraCoin is a replacement for my father, and it allows people who basically feel that they couldn't fight back against the big Erics, the big bullies, to enable to fight back. Let's say the big bullies are the large multinational financial corporations, just assuming, not saying they are, the Goldman Sachs and Lehman Brothers, JP Morgans, who charge significant margins, collapse, get bailed out, come back, do the same thing again, watch, rinse, and repeat. So the problem with that, I cut this off, the problem with that scenario, okay, is broken trust. The reason why these, if you could call them bullies, get away with it, is because you're afraid to challenge them, but you can't trust them. You give them money, they charge very large fees, whether it's for trading, whether it's for holding money as an escrow agent, brokers, loans, mortgages, etc. Practically every entity has distrust. Whether dealing with the bank, whether we're doing a deal, and to counter that trust, it causes extra expenses in the transaction. Legal expenses, due diligence, delays, litigation, actual losses. So the solution to a loss of trust is zero trust, or zero trust smart contracts. Anybody who's read the Bitcoin smart paper understands the smart contracts theory, where you can basically build in a digital form of a legal style contract directly in Bitcoin. When I read that, a light bulb went off in my head. I said, there's so many problems I can solve with this. Okay, so I created a super Bitcoin wallet that basically allows you to create your own smart contracts. You do it yourself, you submit it to the blockchain, and use it to solve a multitude of problems. I'm starting with finance and investment. So, through these zero trust smart contracts, you can create a deal, a financial deal, with no counterparty risk. In other words, you don't have to worry about the counterparty collapsing, running away, etc. No credit risk. You don't have to worry about how creditworthy they are, whether they're able to pay you back or willing to pay you back. And you don't even have to know the counterparty or trust them. So, with that in mind, I came up with the slogan: loans without banks, trades without brokers, contracts without lawyers. You can do all this with the smart contract technology that's built into the UltraCoin wallet. It enables individuals and corporations of any size, the Davids or the 6-year-olds from my childhood, to do business like the global institutions, the big Goliaths or the Erics from my childhood. These are screenshots from the UltraCoin client, which I actually intended to launch and pass up to the audience and do a sample trade, so you can short JPM, trade gold, silver, etc., in and out of Bitcoin and fiat. But a bug came up at the last minute, so I don't have it, but it will be available soon. Okay, here we have an example of trading euro for Bitcoin. Okay, you put in the amount, 550,000 euro. You swap it with Bitcoin for, you pick the time, and then it gives you a summary of the contract. You hit find, it puts that up to bid as a swap. Someone takes the other side of it, wants to trade Bitcoin for euro, and you have a deal. It goes up to the blockchain, it's locked in, neither side can back out of it, neither side can renege. There's no way they can defraud you, and there's no financial incentive to defraud, because anybody who defrauds, everybody takes the loss. Its simplicity makes it ingenious. Okay, it is safer than any bank with any balance sheet, especially these banks' balance sheets. And you settle in cash, it happens immediately, trade 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no banking hours, no trading hours. Second screen does the same thing, it's showing equities. Trading, you go short 80 Bitcoin worth of JP Morgan, you go long or short. Okay, it does about 10 to 15,000 tickers, North American securities, stocks, options, real estate, both commercial and residential, metals, silver, gold. As it is right now, this basically replaces your ability replaces the ability to trade with Charles Schwab, E-Trade, etc. The major difference is, I'm going to ignore most of the PowerPoint. The major difference is you're trading peer-to-peer. So because you trade an exchange, and if you trade with an exchange, you encounter counterparty risk. I want to fix that solution. So now you trade with her directly. Okay? No exchange needed, no exchange necessary, no counterparties, no issues of trust, no escrow agents. Your money's stay in your personal wallet until you actually do the exchange. When you do the exchange, then it goes up to the blockchain. And the blockchain is the only counterparty. Okay, and this particular example shows one of the many strategic uses. Let me go through the whole thing. I'll try to answer questions without time. If not, then afterwards, I'll talk all the time. Okay? You can hedge almost any financial exposure with this because of all the different financial assets. And you can hedge it at a fraction of the cost of any banking institution. You find a banking institution that comes near my cost, I'll have it, guaranteed. You can easily and quickly move value, not just money, because remember, these coins trade value, not money. Now we'll go through the difference a little later. Across all geopolitical borders, for profit, for financial gain, or strategic gain. And this is an example of basically taking 75 basis point money in the United States, which is what you get on your money, going to Venezuela at 16%, capturing the spread all through the water. Peer-to-peer. After expenses, you'll drop down to roughly 4 to 8% return annually. That is a whole lot more than 75 basis points, and it's guaranteed through the blockchain. Almost risk-free, much less risky than the banking institutions, including FDIC, which we'll go through in detail if we want to talk afterwards. Now, these are the different paradigms, I'd say, of financial transactions. You have the centralized systems, which you see right there, such as Mt. Gox, Man Financial, and Lehman Brothers. Now, a lot of you say, well, Mt. Gox used Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is decentralized. Yes, but Mt. Gox was centralized. Mt. Gox acted as the broker, the exchange, the custodian, and the banking agent. So when they went down, they took your Bitcoin down with it. Okay, a lot of you look in the media when Mt. Gox collapsed, you see a lot of media titles, this is the fall of Bitcoin, Bitcoin is over. That's absolute nonsense. It was the fall of Mt. Gox. When it even collapsed, was that the fall of the US dollar? You know, when a bank robber robs a bank, is that when the US dollar's falling? No, that particular business went down. But you still have what's listed as a centralized exchange. Then you have, on the other side, you have a totally decentralized exchange, where everybody trades totally peer-to-peer. Okay? That is slower and less efficient because you don't have a central body running things. The UltraCoin paradigm is a hybrid of the two. You trade peer-to-peer, your assets remain in your wallet, if you send to the blockchain, but you find each other through the UltraCoin server. The UltraCoin server has two uses only: to help you find each other, okay, and to take your fees for the deal. That's how I profit, and that's it. You can't take your fees from, you can't take your money out of my server because it never touches it. Your identity doesn't come on my server. You gotta download the wallet, it's going to log in. I don't know who you are, okay? It's totally pseudonymous, or as pseudonymous as Bitcoin. You create your own smart contract with the interface that I saw. So you create the amount, you create the parameters, you create the time limit, the expiry, etc. You hit fine, and the anonymous party takes the other side. So you do the entire contract design yourself. You trade peer-to-peer, and all trades settle immediately. As fast as Bitcoin can settle, the trade settles in cash. Bitcoin as cash. Bitcoin in, Bitcoin out. There's no need to have access to a formalized exchange. You're not subject to counterparty risk, you're not subject to credit risk, and you don't require trust. It enables pseudonymous transactions. I've been through most of this, so you're just gonna zip by. And once you create a peer-to-peer entity that doesn't require trust, that is able to cut the margins of the established system, you have what? Disintermediation. For those who are not familiar with the economic or financial term, disintermediation is when you take the middleman out of the situation, or you take the profits of the middleman out. This is particularly the case with UltraCoin. And I love to have UltraCoin team up with a lot of financial entities, but to be absolutely honest, UltraCoin is to replace most of financial entities because if you do not truly add value to the transaction, you will be disintermediated. So if you charge money just because I stand in between you, and my only function is to stand in between you and take money, well, UltraCoin will now remove me and you can deal directly with each other. Okay, and the money that I will charge, you now divvy up. So my bonuses are now profits to your deal or added margin. Disintermediation is an interesting concept because it usually predates or precedes a paradigm shift. You have Napster, which precedes a paradigm shift in the music industry and the media industry. You have the PC, right, which precedes several industry shifts. You have the internet. And as many of you heard, the internet is, Bitcoin is the internet from 1993. The price of Bitcoin, from my perspective, is absolutely irrelevant because the value of Bitcoin is in the protocol, which is what I'm using to power UltraCoin, not in the price of the individual unit of account, which people call a currency. To put this in perspective, think of the internet in 1993. Does anybody know what the price of your stock was? Who knows, right? You don't really care. But fast forward 21 years later, and the internet is part of the economic fabric of almost every transaction. The potential market is significant, it boggles the mind. Since I'm dealing as a gatekeeper in value, such as Google is a gatekeeper of information, UltraCoin is to be the gatekeeper of value, I will participate in all value transactions, or attempt to. So let's take the slogan I had, loans without banks, syndicated loans at 3.2 trillion, trades without brokers. Bond market, 157 trillion, stock market, 57 trillion, forex markets, $4 trillion daily turnover. You add that up, you're talking $225 trillion. 5 basis point penetration. 5 basis points is 0.05% of 1%. 5 basis point penetration, we're talking well over $1.4 billion in cash flow for UltraCoin. And that is 5% of 1%. Right? 2% yields $50 billion in revenues. So you can see UltraCoin is poised potentially to be a significant part of financial transactions in the future. Now, so far we're discussing finance and investment, but finance and investment is not value. It's one portion, one subset of value, right? We also plan to disintermediate those in real estate, healthcare, estate planning, import, export, intellectual property, and a whole swath of other industries. Basically, whenever value transacts hands, UltraCoin wants to be that vehicle for the transaction. And remember, if you become that vehicle for the transaction, we remove barriers, we increase efficiencies, and disintermediate. So we take out the middleman that doesn't add value to the transaction. The competitive advantage, we're first movers. I plan to launch today. I will launch on the Max Kaiser show roughly in 2 weeks for those who watch Max Kaiser on Russia Today. Roughly around 21st, I'm going to actually launch the coin there. I'm going to distribute it through my sites, through my blogs, through Max Kaiser's blogs. Everybody get the trade with it. You can short JPM, work with the banks, do whatever you want. We have a lack of legacy products and a lack of confidence and interest that prevent us from disintermediating. Basically, I'm not doing in my clients, so I can give everybody a break because I'm starting from scratch, brand new. And we have a CEO, which is myself, who's very brazen, not afraid to tell the truth, and I'm not afraid to take risks as long as I measure the risk. The plan of attack, market aggressively across multiple channels, retail, corporate, and institutional. I plan to sell ferociously through all channels, and I want to make UltraCoin the de facto wallet for not only sending and receiving Bitcoin, but for transacting in value across all matters of value. Fiat currency, gold, silver, etc. You're not exchanging in physical, you're exchanging in value, the difference in price. And education. Like I explained with the fall of Mt. Gox, and I really thought that was the end of Bitcoin. The fall of Mt. Gox was the fall of Mt. Gox, not the end of Bitcoin. As a matter of fact, I think it was the beginning. And with that, I'd like to say au revoir. Hopefully I was able to educate and entertain, or at least occupy your time, and I'll be available for questions after the speech.
I want to take a couple seconds before we bring up our next speaker, just to thank